Jason here from The Pursuit of Squash. It's been a couple years since I've made a video like this, but I think it's about time for an update. In this video, I will be taking you through the backhand drive technique seen here. This technique is used by some of the best players in the modern game. If you think you know which player or players I've based this on, leave a comment below. Quickly, before I get into the breakdown, I would like to mention that I do have an extended version of this video available on thepursuitofsquash.com for premium members, where I break down the backhand even further and explain how you can teach it to yourself. That video also contains super slow motion footage and a reversed section for right-handed players. If that interests you, consider becoming a premium member to support future content on this channel. Links to that are in the description. Anyway, let's get started. Phase 1. Drive Prep. In this phase, you will be getting your body and racket ready for the swing. Step forward into a partial lunge. If you're hitting right-handed, lunge onto your right leg. If you're left-handed, lunge onto your left. As you lunge, 3 things need to happen. You must rotate your upper body / chest towards the back wall. Your racket needs to come up to the ready position, and your non-hitting arm comes up near the bottom of your racket. A solid ready position will set up the rest of your swing, so let's take a closer look at that. In this shot, I'm rotating the racket through a 90-degree arc. At 0 degrees, you would be holding the racket basically right up against your chest. At 90 degrees, the racket will be directly out in front of you. Ideally, you should be holding it about halfway between these extremes, maybe a bit less. There should be a decent gap between your elbow and your chest. Additionally, you don't want the racket to be perfectly vertical. Tip the top of the racket forward slightly. You will see this more clearly in a second. As you get deeper into the lunge, looking straight on, you want the top of the racket, your shoulders, your elbow, and your grip to form the classic diamond shape. However, from this angle, there are some subtleties that are missed. If you look at this position from the side, you will notice that the racket is leaning forward, and the racket frame is making a 45-degree angle with my head. To summarize that, just remember, chest towards the back wall, diamond position, and leave space between your elbow and chest. Phase 2. Drop phase. Next up, we have the drop phase. This is where your racket will gain some initial speed. In this phase, 2 things happen. You will rotate your forearm so that the racket head begins to fall backwards, and at the same time, you can drop your non-hitting arm to move it out of the way. It will help maintain your balance through the swing. If you perform this motion slowly, you will struggle to get power when it comes time to actually strike the ball. I actually had this issue when learning to hit drives with my left arm. Phase 3. Strike phase. The strike phase is where the majority of your power will be generated. Using that tension in your core we created earlier, begin to rotate your upper body to start bringing the racket around. Once that initial rotation is complete, in order to straighten out the racket, rotate your forearm. At the point of contact, the racket should be roughly parallel to the floor, and the racket face should be open. In other words, angled so that it faces slightly upwards on the front wall. There are a couple of crucial mistakes new players make during this phase. The first is trying to generate power by breaking the wrist as they start to bring the racket around. If your wrist does this at any point during this phase, that is called breaking the wrist and can potentially lead to injury. The second mistake is hitting the ball with a closed racket face. This will send the ball reliably into the tin. And one last tip I can give you here, make sure that you watch the ball hit the strings of your racket and keep your head steady throughout the follow-through. Phase 4. Follow-through. During the follow-through, your non-hitting hand can be used to counteract the force of your rotation, which will help you keep your balance. After making contact with the ball, allow your racket to naturally follow your target. If you have maintained a solid wrist position throughout the swing and are still facing the sidewall, your follow-through should be fairly compact. If you finish your swing with your chest facing the front wall, you have over-rotated. This also increases the risk of hitting your opponent and should be avoided. Now that was a lot to take in, but hopefully you now understand the mechanics of a clean backhand technique. Learning this can take time, weeks, even months. If you'd like some additional tips to guide you through that learning process, consider signing up at thepursuitofsquash.com, where you'll find many more videos to help you improve your game. Last but not least, don't forget to check out the links in the description, and if you found this video helpful, leave a thumbs up.